makes Aeneas a greater hero than all other heroes is that more bad crap happens to him, and he keeps going. And you see it right here in the opening lines. Notice, we'll continue, who in the grip of the immortal powers was pounded by land and sea, suffered bitterly in his battles, he strove for the sight of his city, of course the city of Rome, and safe harboring, for his gods. In other words, let's point out, this is huge. For the Romans, the worst thing to be is an atheist. Why? Because you are subject to the will of the gods, and if you're an atheist and say you don't believe in the gods, then immediately you cause serious problems, not only for yourself, but for your community. So what would the Romans do, for example? Are you ready for this? What would the Romans do to a people who started to say, all of those gods that you guys believe in, there's only one God? Interestingly, the early Christians are killed for being atheists. That's really a funny thing for Christians today to hear, but it's absolutely true. The Romans saw the early Christians as atheists. They did not worship the gods. Notice, you're 6 lines into this poem, and you're told that one of the most important things Aeneas did was that he escaped the city of Troy with his gods, with those sacred things. And he carries them with him, first to Carthage and then on, of course, ultimately to Italy. Where in the city of Rome, even today when you visit, the most important stuff, all celebrated by worship of the gods. Now, let's point out, this is a polytheism, not a monotheism. The Romans didn't see any point in monotheism. What if you got it wrong? It's an interesting question. You're going to say out of the literally thousands and thousands of potential gods, you're going to choose one and say all the rest are made up except for this one? The Romans saw that as dangerous. Seriously, what if you're wrong? Are you willing to bet the farm you're wrong? Like, for example, what if there are 2 gods? And you picked the wrong one. Now you got the other god mad at you. Terrible things could happen, not only to you as a person, but to your country, to your culture. Right? It's not unusual then to hear the Romans who will defend the fights they lose by virtue of atheism. Somebody was not as pious. That's an important word. Let's put it in our notes. As pious. This will be the translation that often gets used to designate P-I-O-U-S. Pious. In fact, you're going to see this in the Dickinson line. Is it a God's nature? I'm sorry, we'll go back one. Of the goddess's wrath, what had he done that a queen of heaven should break on such wheels of disaster? A man so patently pious. You'll maybe remember that little poem we asked you to look at. My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. So was it when my life began? So is it now I am a man? So be it when I shall grow old, or let me die. This is Wordsworth's little ditty. The child is father of the man, and I could wish my days to be bound each to each by natural piety is the word there. If you're a Roman Catholic, of course, you know all about pious, don't you? Because pious or piety. In other words, you act according to the will of the gods. So this will be the question. Why would a man who is so clearly pious, acting according to the will of the gods, have the gods against him? Why? Let's point out for your notes, this is what we call the question of theodicy. T-H-E-O-D-I-C-Y. T-H-E-O-D-I-C-Y. The question of theodicy can be represented in a little drawing that we'll put on the board now. And we will see that the Aeneid is an attempt to try to create an answer to what really is one of the oldest questions in the history of the world. And it runs something like this. The easy way to write this, and this is a paradigm we're going to come back to so many times, I'm introducing it now. Draw a triangle on your paper. On one corner put all loving God or gods. At the top put all powerful God or gods. And then in the lower right corner put the word bad stuff or evil Okay. Bad stuff. Now watch my whiteboard. And this will, it's like any number of other little projects I put up here. Usually it helps you if you have an iconic representation. You go to a mom. She's sitting in a hospital room. Her 6-year-old is dying of leukemia in tremendous pain. You walk in. The mother is clearly upset. She's crying. And you walk in and you say, "I'm very sorry." And she says, "I can't believe this is happening to me. Clearly there is no God." And you say back, "Oh no, there is an all-powerful God who can remove completely the leukemia from your child." And the mother says, "Really?" "Oh yes, completely all-powerful, can remove that leukemia, has the ability to do that." "Well then that God must not be very nice." "Oh no, no. That God who can completely have total power to remove the leukemia from your 6-year-old is also completely loving, all-loving God." And the mom goes, "Whoa, no, wait a minute here. You're telling me that clearly my kid's got leukemia. I can see that. She's about to die. And you're telling me that there's this all-powerful, all-loving deity? Right. Well then why come my kid's got leukemia then?" Wham! That's the question of theodicy. That is the theodicic question. How can you explain this fact? How can you explain the fact that there is pain, evil in the world, if you're going to accept the fact that there's an all-powerful, all-loving deity or deities? Now this question, many argue, is the beginnings of religion. Some argue as well it's the end of religion. Some of you have maybe even heard this as an argument against religion. I want to point out that Virgil is acutely aware of this question. The way he's going to ask the question, though, isn't a child dying of leukemia. He's going to posit a hero, namely Aeneid. And he's going to ask about Aeneid, why did all these terrible things happen? Did you see the question? It was right there in the opening lines of the Aeneid. Why? Why did all this mean stuff happen? Of course, hello, think about it if you're a Roman. If even the greatest Roman, Aeneid, suffers with pain, terrible suffering, pounded by land and sea, then clearly it's going to happen to any other normal Roman. Agreed? I mean, it's inevitable. The real question, though, is going to be why? What did he do to deserve it? That's going to be one of the questions, okay? And it's not always so easy, as we'll find out, to answer that one. Thank you.